Okay. Maybe I'm gonna come back to you, but just a quick one here. Before I give others like Elliot to jump in on this subject. Surely this member, if he's member of the party structures are supposed to look into him and toe the line of the party. Is there any disciplinary action that is going to follow? Because you said he's an excited member. Surely he cannot drag your party into all this and cause the whole nation to talk about something. Are you going to do something about this member as a party?
As a party, if there is anything that we are going to do, or even if there is nothing that we are going to do, it will not be subject to a debate on a public platform like this one, because ZANU-PF is a party that has structures, that is policies and protocols that are supposed to be followed, and these have been going on since time immemorial. And you have not heard us coming on platforms of this nature and say this is what we are going to do to a individual AXB, but we have what we are supposed to do. And I am not insinuating in any way that there is something that is going to happen to Taurai Kanshaya. What I'm saying that is that in answering to your question, whether there is anything that is going to happen or nothing that is going to be happen, it is not a subject of public discourse, because ZANU-PF has protocols that are specifically laid out that are supposed to be followed, and they are not subject to debate on a media platform.
All right, we are going to come back to you, Mr. Mandaza. Uh, Elliot Kajume, you are a political scientist. Before we get into this, what I wanted to ask you, what do you have to comment about Mr. Mandaza's thoughts? What do you have to say about this?
Uh, Thank you very much, Steve, for giving me this time to respond to him. I was actually waiting far too long to to say something concerning what you were saying, and I was even hoping that I would interject, but I had to respectfully leave him to finish. You know, it is quite unfortunate. Respectfully, say I'll say this to you. It is quite unfortunate that you say ZANPF is a party that respects property right when it is made by a lot of misfortunes in its history from the time of the land reform program, which was unplanned for and which was violent. You know, when all of you were just grabbing farms like that in a way which was not even constituted. It is quite disappointing to know that now you say party yedu inotera mutemo and inoita property rights. You know, if we look back into history as well, besides just the land reform, we would see that there are some of the party members even after the land reform who had to grab farms, uh, and land from their own fellow black men. For example, there's been a debate that was going on Twitter about Malunga. However, the debate was in this context to say, why is it that people are now giving out more attention to Opo Chungono than Malunga when ZANU-PF wanted to grab the farm? The context is not about the attention which is being given to the two in my context. It is about an example to which ZANU-PF tried to grab and even grabbed Malunga's farm in Matebeleland. And we also have cases of Obet Impov, who grabbed a lot of farms in Matebeleland for his personal gains, and a lot of other ZANU-PF members who have been grabbing farms, doing so without even no one going against it. And we have seen a lot of it happening in Murewa, where those guys are the Chinese. They've been taking land from the local people. You know, we can't say that ZANPF respects property rights when it is doing all those things and abusing its own population in Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF has been in the forefront, and we cannot say and just ignore when someone who is a ZANU-PF member and a non-ZANU-PF member who is even having a lot of records terrorizing the people of Zimbabwe, saying that they are going to be grabbing goats, and then we just look and ignore and say it is nothing, it is not a matter of concern. How do we say it's not a matter of concern when these people they looked so adamant and serious and they're even carrying the same sentiments they were carrying during the times of the land reform when all those war veterans and other ZANU-PF guys were in forefront singing and doing, they were just bringing the same ethos and echoes now, which they did recently through that video that you were talking about. How do we say then it is not the same sentiments that are being driven again by the same parts to say they are respecting property rights. ZANU-PF is known for the same thing. And the fact that this thing is coming back again, we are having fresh wounds of the same old memories we were carrying and having during back then when we saw them abusing many other people, abusing many other people taking their land. So we cannot just say, I it is nothing. No, it is not nothing. It is something we should be concerned about when we see a ZANU-PF member, like you were saying, which is part of the structures and even part of the executive. I don't know about that. But the thing is, we cannot ignore such a member. And what is more disappointing is we never saw any ZANU-PF person, even from the top leadership, saying or rebuking at least to say what this person is saying is wrong, which has been the trend even from the time memorial, that when ZANU-PF is doing something, they just act mum and act as if nothing is happening, and yet there will be an agreement in the background. So whenever we see something like this, it's a trend that we know. And we always say they are in agreement because they are not saying anything against it. Because they've been doing the same thing from the time I started knowing about ZANU-PF. That is my comment on that, sir.
Mr. Mandaza, do you want to comment on that?
Surely, I want to comment, and
Okay.
it is unfortunate. I would have loved to see the face of the gentleman that was talking, Mr. Kajuma, so that I know probably whether my comment is misplaced, because there are certain issues that I think he brings to the fore. The issue of the land reform. If he was born after 1985, thereabout or so, I would understand that he might not have heard that the main reason why people went to war, it had to do with the land question. And the land issue was one of the greatest subjects during the Lancaster House Conference. And at some point, the land had to be distributed. And as you know, agreements were made, and then at some point, they were not followed to the letter, coming or resulting in the land reform program, which you said was not planned. But this is an issue that made people go to war in order to make sure that at some point they will address the issue. And admittedly, it had to happen at some point, and it happened in 2000 in the manner in which it took place. Yes, there was no formula that was used, but land had to be taken from those who had stolen land from our ancestors, and we took the land rightfully. Whether there was a method or no method, at that time land had to be taken. And we are not apologetic in any way that we seized the land from those that had stolen land way back, and we did it in 2000 and subsequent years. And to then say that was no respect of land property. Surely, if something has been stolen from you, you cannot go and respect a thief when you are trying to repossess what had been stolen from you. We were just repossessing what had been stolen from us, from our ancestors, so that it becomes us, it becomes ours. And we are happy that most of the land now is in the hands of its rightful owners. Yes, there are disparities, there are challenges that came with the issue of the land reform. And among them are the issues that you are referring to, which we continue to address on a day-to-day basis. And you know that at the moment there has been a land audit that has taken place in order to address issues that happened during the land reform program. But we are not apologetic in any way that land had to be repossessed. Lastly, let me also say that, like I have already indicated, we believe in the sanctity of the property rights of every individual in Zimbabwe, regardless of his position in society or his political affiliation. And if ever there are issues of that nature, we have systems in the country where people have to go and seek redress. And for people then to say that when they have a social media post, they go haywire without why seek redress on a social media platform rather than or rather than taking the issue to court and say this is what we think is going to happen? And as we speak right now, were the goats taken, the 15 goats? No. Were there any people in the area to take the goats? No. So why hyping an issue that is no issue at all?
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Elliot. Let me just come to Cooksman, maybe touching on that vein of thought of saying, are people free to express themselves in Zimbabwe? I beg to differ with you, Mr. Mandasa, because as I was saying, that Hope Ochingono and Jacob Ngarivume, they went to prison for trying to do what is lawful, which is to demonstrate against corruption and to protest against corruption, and we saw them being incarcerated. Up to now, they've still not been charged. So surely we can't talk of freedom of speech. Let me come to Cooksman. Cooksman, you are an artist and you are somebody who sings songs that are, pro Nelson Chamisa. Do you feel safe in the environment that is that Mr. Mandasa is saying? Do you feel that as an artist or as somebody, are you free to express yourself as an artist in Zimbabwe?